Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Sean Holko, alongside my guy, Mr. Jaevon Toddy, and a special guest. Who we got with us today, Jaevon?
Well, we got another Toddy in the building. He wanted to come on and talk his stuff about the old Celtics that are advancing to the Eastern Conference. We got a young Mako in the cuts today. Say hi.
Go. Legend in the building. Legend in the making in the building. Mr. Mako Angel Jesus.
I've been on podcasts since I was less than one.
Man, I mean, what was the first official podcast that you brought him on? Like, you just flashed in. What was he, like 6 weeks old or something like that?
I don't think
we got
we
got the official image right here. I mean, this is it right here where he flashed in real
quick. It looks
quickly
a lot smaller there. I don't know why.
Right when we had Alex joined us. That I was wearing the WNBA jersey, so that kind of tells me that I think that was draft day, which was in April, like April. So about 6 weeks ago, and look at how much he has already grown just in those 6 weeks. It's honestly quite amazing. Kevin Dent will be joining us in about 20 to 30 minutes or so. Garry Singh is now joining us as well. Garry, thanks for joining us.
What's up with my boys? Oh, we got a little one on the show finally. Yay. Let me get in the mic, man. He's looking straight at the mic. He said, let me get active in the mic.
Right.
He's ready to go.
Too. I've seen that picture you said to do today, too. And were you guys at a barbecue today?
That was yesterday. It was my mom's birthday.
Nice.
Happy birthday, T.
Happy birthday to mama.
Happy birthday to T.
Happy birthday, T.
Grammy's birthday
today.
Yep.
Gary's joining us. Kevin will be joining us real soon. We'll have the whole squad together before we get out of here with what should be about a power hour here on Monday night, May 27th, 2024 at about 8:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we have Mako joining us. Pointed the wrong way. We have Mako joining us. We have Garry joining us. Jaevon, myself. Kevin will be joining us soon. But Jaevon, we're missing someone, right? Should we have someone else here on the panel with us after you unmute yourself?
I know, there's been a guy who's been he flashed him on the screen a little bit. You go ahead.
That was a little premature production right there. My bad. Go ahead, Toddy.
Leslie Reynolds, man. We miss you, brother. I haven't heard from him, seen from him. I call him, I text him, I message him on Instagram. Can't get a hold of him. So we're gonna send an APB out for everybody in the Washington area. If you've seen this man, if you've seen this guy's face before, somebody, can you please get a hold of him? Let him know that we're worried and we're concerned about him, and we just wish him well. I know he's been going through a lot. It all happened so fast. I mean, a week ago they just beat the Denver Nuggets, the champs. They're waving goodbye to the crowd and everybody. So it's been crickets ever since that Denver series. So you'd like to make sure that he hasn't jumped off of a bridge or anything like that. We just want to make sure that he is okay and he is safe. So please, somebody, if you can, if you've seen this man before, Sean, can you show us the picture?
Yes.
If you have seen this man,
very dapper man,
to reach out to the group chat. That's all we ask for. Just to get a confirmation that he's okay. Please.
Yeah, we haven't heard much from Wes except for the occasional text. Basically, since this photo was taken of Anthony Edwards absolutely going nuts in the Denver series, we haven't heard from Wes. And Wes was supposed to join us after that Nuggets series. Due to time zone differences, he was unable. But, we miss you, Wes. We want to hear from you. Maybe he'll have something to say after tomorrow night's game if the Timberwolves are able to stay alive. We'll get into that on episode number 98 of Stats Over Politics. Sean Holko alongside Garry Singh and Jaevon Toddy. Guys, we got some basketball to talk about on today's episode, granted, with the conference finals, one just wrapping up, another one probably wrapping up tomorrow night. But we're going to start today's episode on a bit of a somber note, and it's because a legend died today. And that legend is Bill Walton, basketball Hall of Famer who was first known for killing it at UCLA during the days of John Wooden, shortly after Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was tearing it up down in Southern California. Bill Walton obviously goes on to the NBA. He wins a championship with the Portland Trail Blazers, and then he has his career derailed by injuries a bit, but still one of the greatest big men of all time. But how I'll always remember Bill Walton is as a commentator and as a color commentator, because he was probably the most colorful person with his words. And I absolutely loved watching him growing up announce games, especially Pac-12 games. Toddy, I know specifically for you that Pac-12 games are near and dear to your heart, as they are to mine. And especially for basketball, whether if it was men's or women's, Bill Walton was there as the voice. And so, Garry, I want to swing this to you first, because Bill Walton was recently involved with the Sacramento Kings, not only as a broadcaster, but also when his son Luke became the head coach of the team. And he was in Sacramento a lot. We see him wearing a lot of Purple Kings gear, whether if it be at Madison Square Garden with a member of Grateful Dead or here at the Golden One Center. And so just what are your memories that you have of Bill Walton, Garry?
RIP to the legend, and he's really, obviously, like you went down his resume, Sean, and he's well respected, and his family's well, like basketball royalty in the NBA. So it's sad to see one of the legends go. You help pioneer this game, to get where basketball is at today, especially like you mentioned, the big man. And his son obviously playing in the NBA as well. So that lineage lives on forever. And you've seen him talk about a lot how to become great, and he loved coaching and things of that nature. So I feel that's why he always still visits. Like Sean, you just mentioned at the end, visiting arenas and at his age and still trying to be a part of the game. So he's gonna be mid to a legend. The only reason I was a little smiling and stuff because you just see Mako's face right there, and he just locked in. So I just side note. We have a big guest here today, y'all. So you know what I'm saying. I just kept watching. I'm like, oh, he's making faces, got me laughing and stuff. And Sean talking about something serious. I need to buckle down here. My bad, but it's really on a serious note. It's RP to him, man. Sorry for his loss, and hopefully everything goes smooth with him and his family, and prayers up. But he lived a great life, and yeah, all his memories live on forever.
And Toddy, as he passed away today of cancer, I didn't see what kind of cancer, but it doesn't really matter. He's gone now. It's really unfortunate. But I wanted to segue it this way for you, Jaevon, because as we talked about with his connection to the Pac-12, obviously a Pac-12 legend as a player, but then even more so as a broadcaster. He was named one of the top 50 basketball broadcasters in recent years. And anyways, it was almost poetic that Bill Russell died today, because the Pac-12 as we know it basically died yesterday. Or excuse me, yeah, Bill Walton, thank you. Bill Walton passed away today, and the Pac-12 basically died yesterday. Like, the baseball tournament came to an end, and that was it for Pac-12 competition as of yesterday. And so to have a Pac-12 legend pass away the day after the Pac-12 as we know it basically ceases to exist was pretty shocking. And I was shook when I saw the notification come across my phone this morning around 10 a.m. What was your reaction, Jaevon?
Oh man, it kind of hit me. Like I was shocked, pretty much like the rest of us. I didn't even know that he was fighting cancer, because he was calling games like earlier this year. Like there were some games that I for sure hit on a couple of bits, and Bill Walton was calling those games. Obviously, those games would be some late night Pac-12 games.
Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah, Pac-12 after dark. Obviously, a Celtic legend, a basketball legend, that is. UCLA alumni. Being a great player in the NBA, Hall of Famer. And obviously, just so much that goes into it, and he's well respected in the basketball community. And it just sucks to see, because he was a great commentator. Like for most of us, well, all of us didn't really get a chance to see him play, because obviously we're a little bit younger, on the younger side. on this show. But I mean, he was definitely, you know, one of the guys that we saw calling games at a point.
At 71, bro, which is great.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Lived a full life, I would say, but you know, it kind of just sucks to see him go. Because who's going to call those? Well, I mean, yeah, Pac-12's gone, as Shaun already mentioned. So, I mean, you know, rest in peace to Bill Walton, and you know, the Celtics got it back for him today. So that's really how it all had to go down. So, rest in peace, Bill Walton.
Yeah, the Celtics sure did, and I loved. I don't know the owner's name off the top of my head, but I loved how the owner, first and foremost, in the Eastern Conference Trophy presentation, mentioned Bill off tops, and he just said, like, "We lost the Celtic great. Like, this is for him," and you could hear the emotions in his voice, keeping himself composed as much as he could. This really hit me hard today, guys, because I saw the year that he was born, 1952. That was the year that my Uncle Steve was born. And my Uncle Steve passed away in 2018 because he had cancer. And this really just shook me up a little bit, especially because, like, my Uncle Steve, he was born in 1952, same year as Bill Walton. My dad was born in 1951. My mom was born in 1958. Long story short, I have
exposing all your parents out here, Shaun.
They're old. My mom was 40 when I was born. Like, I know,
but still, man. Your mom might be young today.
Hey, man, Mom said that we had a great podcast last week, so shout out to Mom because she's going to be listening to this one in a couple of days. Sorry, Mom, if I'm exposing the year that you were born.
Make sure, you know, he don't go too far.
I have a point behind it. So anyways, like, my dad was born in 1951. He passed away in 2016 because basically, long story short, he was an alcoholic and that was his own downfall. But the reason why Bill Walton passing away today shook me up is because, like, my mom, dad, my aunts and uncles, they were all a part of that, like, generation that Bill Walton was in. And like, my mom's boyfriend, Dave, I went and had dinner at my mom's house today, and he and I were talking about it. And Dave is from Southern California, my mom's boyfriend, and he was just saying, like, man, I remember when he was tearing it up back at UCLA. Like, that was it in Southern California, was UCLA basketball. And Bill Walton, right after Lou Alcindor was there. And it just really just shook me up because, as was mentioned earlier, like, he was 71, which is a long life, but it still feel like he had so much more life to live. And, like, even just thinking about it, like, from a selfish perspective, as a fan of his broadcasting, like, I felt like he had at least another 5 to 10 years in him. And today I watched a like compilation video. It was like 5 minutes on YouTube that ESPN put together like 5 years ago, and it was all of Bill Walton's best moments. And I highly encourage anyone who ever listened to Bill Walton, was a fan of Bill Walton, to go check it out because I definitely enjoyed it, and they ended it in a great manner. And this was made 5 years ago. It wasn't even a tribute to him in his life passing away today, but it was just a video they put together 5 years ago. And a lot of the clips were with him and Dave Pasch, the play-by-play commentator for ESPN. And they had a lot of great moments together. A lot of them were Pac-12 after dark, as Toddy and I talked about earlier. But rest in peace to an all-time legend, because in addition to everything that he did on the basketball court, first of all in college and then in the NBA, and that's why I specifically put that he is a basketball Hall of Famer. He's not just an NBA Hall of Famer. It's technically the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, but I think he's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, he's one of the greatest college basketball players of all time, so of course he is. I just didn't check it. But anyways, all-time legend, and it really just made me even more grateful for having my mom in my life still, and some of my aunts and uncles, because they're all of this same generation, around the same age as Bill Walton. And to see someone like him pass away today, it's just heartbreaking. So condolences to his wife, to his family, obviously his kids, including Luke, former Sacramento Kings head coach. A great man, passed away today. I didn't get a chance to meet Luke Walton. A lot of people that are older than me, even 10 to 15 years older than me, said that they've gotten chances to meet Luke Walton. He's like, or Bill Walton, I keep saying Luke, but getting a chance to meet Bill Walton, and he's just the nicest guy, and he's exactly who you think he is. And you don't always get that with celebrities. And so just not only rest in peace to just like a great basketball player, but rest in peace to a great man. I never got a chance to meet him, but all indications is he was a great man, very genuine. And he was a Celtics legend, even if his tenure in Boston was very brief. And Toddy, I know that you and Mako are very excited for what happened today as the Celtics closed out the Eastern Conference Finals with a sweep.
Hold on, Shaun. Before we go, I'm cutting you off. I don't know if Vaughn mentioned before the game, but we had to do a positive thing real quick for you, Shaun. Your birthday was last week. What, on 22nd? 23rd,
23rd on
23rd.
Thursday.
So we didn't get his happy birthday. So real quick, I know Vaughn probably wanted to say it. I don't know if I was a little 10 minutes late here from watching the game at the homie's house. But happy birthday to Shaun, yo. He does a lot for the podcast. Shout out to the big boy. I think you got a haircut too, fresh fade. Didn't even mention that. He's all right today, Vaughn. He's lined up and ready to go. Just happy birthday to my boy. Keep on grinding.
I need to get a cut. Yeah, happy birthday to brother Shaun. Late
host. He's on his shit today.
I appreciate you guys. I did get a little bit.
Mako just happy birthday too right there for you.
There you go.
We heard that, Vaughn. Hold on now.
I did get a little bit of a cut. I got the sides faded up because I'm keeping my hair long, like you can see.
Okay, we didn't see. Okay.
Ponytail, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But I had to fade up the sides. I finally did something with it. And I mean, I couldn't hear you guys for a second, but I wanted to keep the hair long, but I wanted it to look somewhat fresh and even
new age.
And yes, sir. There you go. 26. This is the 26 cut, I guess. So I appreciate both you guys. But now get into some business here on episode number 98 of Stats Over Politics.
Happy.
Man, Jaevon has been on one lately. Appropriately so, but Jaevon has been on one lately. And by the way, before we get into this next segment, Jaevon's about to show us his Shrek face. So we'll just throw the meme on the screen real quick because he's showing the Shrek face. But before we do get to this next segment, I just wanted to give a shout out to Uncle Manny, who had congratulations to Jaevon earlier in the podcast with the appearance of Mr. Mako on the show. So shout out to Uncle Manny for tuning in as always. But Podfather, man, your squad. They swept the Pacers, and they did it the last two games with Tyrese. Tyrese got hurt in the last game, I guess, but he was out game 4. Even though the Celtics swept the Pacers, the series was a lot closer than the sweep might indicate. But Jaevon, you are the Celtics expert here, so if you and Mako could let me know, just what are your thoughts going through your head as the Celtics make it back to another NBA Finals?
Time flies back. I mean, just a week ago, we were just entering the series. Everybody was saying, oh, the Celtics are going to lose in 6 games to the Pacers and 7 games.
Who's saying this?
The Pacers are going to lose.
I think that was Kevin.
Just making sure, man.
Jaylen Brown and Jason, they can't get back to the finals. And then, and then I come on, I'm like, yeah, guys, Celtics are going to win 5 games. I mean, it should be easy. There's no way that this Pacers team is going to have a chance in hell to really compete with the Celtics. I mean, I saw, the Pacers were scrappy. In game 1 they were winning, and then it was pretty much the same thing happened in almost every game of the series. Pacers are up late. Can climb all the way up to at least almost a double-digit lead. They piss down their leg, and all of a sudden the Celtics are tied. They're tied up with a minute left or 4 minutes left. The game goes into overtime. Jaylen Brown hits the tying 3, which seems like an eon ago, which was only like a couple of days ago that Jaylen Brown hit that game day. It was about a week ago that Jaylen Brown hit that tying 3 to go into overtime. And then, the rest was history after that. Jaylen, and people were talking about Jason Tatum. He's not aggressive enough. He has 2 near 40-point games in the series. Jaylen Brown, the same thing. JB had a 40-point game. I think he averaged about 29 for the series. Who was the Larry Bird conference finals player or MVP or whatever the new? I'm getting used to the new trophies or whatever it is.
Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
There we go. And Jason, you could have gave it to either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. It really doesn't matter. Both of those guys.
Give it to?
You could have even that Drew Holiday.
Jaylen Brown. Okay. Jaylen Brown got it. Sorry to cut you off, Toddy. Apparently, it was a 5-4 vote. Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum. But go ahead, Toddy.
That's fine. A lot of people are going to say Jason Tatum didn't get the job. He's not the conference finals MVP. We're in the finals. We swept the Pacers.
He's got a finals MVP to go win.
I mean, all I could really ask for right now is the Timberwolves win tomorrow. Gives us a little bit more days of rest. Extend that series as much as possible. But, man, the Kevin curse. Yes, this is another thing that happened in the group chat. I'm referring to last week's pod as, I even picked the Wolves to win in 7 games. That was me. I picked the Wolves to win. But then, things change over time. Things for sure change over time. And, when you're handed new data, things have to adjust. So, especially with this series, as I already said, with the Pacers being able to win at least a game at home, a lot of variables go into that. And you would think that Tyrese Haliburton would play the majority of the series. Him being out kind of, changed a bunch of things. But Andrew Nembhard was a guy that really stepped up in his place. A lot of people were going to say, oh, Andrew Nembhard, let's watch out for him. Put the brakes on him. 2-game sample size, but he did play his ass off in those 2 games for sure. But now it's like, okay, Celtics are back in the finals, second finals in 3 years. And a lot of people don't know that Kristaps Porzingis, the old unicorn, is coming back for the finals, baby. And, a lot of people were saying, oh, they're going to need Porzingis to get past Cleveland, beat Cleveland in 5. They're going to need Porzingis for the old Indiana Pacers. They can't stop them without him.
I don't know who the hell you copying on, but no.
So, I mean, I don't know what. A lot of people are going to say, well, this is the easiest finals run of all time, and this, that, and this. Injuries are a part of the game, fellas. A lot of things have to go right. Not everything is perfect. I'm sorry that you guys want everything to be perfect. And that is just the way that the coral crumbles. In the words of Sandy Cheeks would say on football. But you got to take what you can get. And that's what we got. This is the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry that Boston plays on the East Coast. I'm sorry that Joel Embiid got hurt. I'm sorry that Jalen Brunson broke his hand in Game 7. I don't know if that would have played much of a factor of them not breaking his hand. They probably still would have lost because they were getting blown out in that game. I'm sorry that the Magic couldn't beat the Cavs in 7 games. Just a bunch of stuff just happened. I'm sorry Damian Lillard got hurt and Giannis Antetokounmpo couldn't play, and just a bunch of things didn't go right for them. And how is it that everyone's getting hurt? But the Celtics weren't healthy. They haven't played with Kristaps Porzingis the whole playoffs. So he played a couple of games in the past series, but he basically didn't play the majority of the playoffs. And I'm sorry that we drafted Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to this team. I'm sorry we traded for Derek White. I'm sorry we got Drew Holiday on our team. And I'm sorry. We're just better. We're just better than everybody. I'm sorry. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, we're back in the finals. We got to win 4 more games, and the likely opponent on the other side is arguably the greatest player in the world right now, and couldn't be more excited to suit him up. So it's prolonged that Dallas is going to win this series, hopefully in 6 games to give us a couple more days. Just chill out. Wes, I'm rooting for you. Don't
Wes. Get rusty now.
But we'll be watching. We'll be watching this series closely.
Jaevon's rooting for you, Wes. I'm honestly really glad that Jaylen Brown won Eastern Conference MVP, the Larry Bird MVP, because, Gary, that shot in Game 1 basically shifted the entire series. Because Indiana, if they steal Game 1, okay, maybe Tyrese Haliburton still deals with a hamstring injury, but if they win Game 1, then they take home court, they take momentum, they go back to Indianapolis, and they probably get at least 1. And then instead of this series being a sweep, we're split 2-2. And, Celtics probably should be favored at that point, but it's a toss-up at that point. It's a best of 3. And so I'm really glad that Jaylen Brown won the finals MVP. He performed well throughout the series. I think he averaged like 30 points a game. And so Jason Tatum was kind of hit or miss, especially in Game 3, where in Game 3 he had like 6 points going into the fourth quarter. Then he bumped up that stat line with like 10, 15 points in the fourth. And of course, just like we love having, and just like we love having in Sacramento with De'Aaron Fox going crazy in the fourth quarter, like yeah, it's nice that Tatum's doing that, but he also needs to have more than 6 points going into the fourth quarter. But anyways, I was glad to see Jaylen Brown win Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. But as Toddy said last week, I guess Jaylen Brown was snubbed for the All-NBA team, so this is an accolade he can add to the resume. One thing I wanted to add, Gary, before we get your thoughts on this series, is that in Game 4 tonight, the Pacers did not score in the final 3 minutes and 33 seconds of the game. 3-3-3, take that as you will. Joe Mazzulla is the youngest coach to make the NBA Finals since Bill Russell did so in 1969 at age 35. Bill Russell was 35. Joe Mazzulla is currently 35. Al Horford is third most all time. Fuck you, Al. That's for Matthew. But Al Horford is the third most all time. Gary, I'm not you. I'll be able to say it. I'll say it for Matthew. But Al Horford has 181 career playoff games without winning an NBA championship, which is the third most all time. Kevin's not here, so this can't be a Sean's Pop Quiz question. Guys, if Al Horford, they showed the graphic. Gary, you might have missed it because you were driving home, but they showed the graphic during the Eastern Conference Trophy presentation. Any guesses who the first and second most all-time are in playoff games without a championship?
That's pretty good. Well, Charles Barkley?
Ooh, that's a good guess, but that's incorrect. Al Horford has more playoff games than Charles Barkley.
JJ Redick.
Nope.
Because I know he went to the playoffs for like 16 years straight or something like that, 15 years.
It's not that. Yeah, JJ Redick made it to the playoffs basically every year his NBA career. That is correct, Gary. Jaevon, to answer your question, no, it's not that recent, but I'm just going to say
90s or 80s. Give us one more hint.
90s. Both of these players
played for the
Knicks. 90s.
What's his name? Patrick Ewing.
No, that is incorrect.
Reggie Miller? No, they went to the finals. No, but they didn't win though.
Who did Michael Jordan beat twice in the finals in back-to-back years?
Oh, John Stockton and
Karl Malone.
John Stockton and Karl Malone are the only players in NBA history that have more career playoff games without an NBA championship other than Al Horford. And so I just wanted to mention, right? I just wanted to mention all those stats. Again, fuck you, Al. Hope you don't win. But Gary, just what did you think of this series? You missed the back.
I'm missing something. Saying big time.
That
guy's a nice guy.
He probably is a very nice guy. I explained. I forgot that you weren't here the last week because you had to work. I explained this backstory last week on last week's pod, but I'll just say it real quickly. That our guy Matthew Pearson, who we were on the State Hornet with, Sac State. Matthew Pearson, obviously huge 76ers fan. Matthew Pearson, not a fan of Al Horford because Al Horford left the Celtics, went to Philadelphia, got paid. The 76ers could not find a way to make it work with Al Horford, but the 76ers signed him. Yeah, and then he went back to Boston. So basically, he went to Philadelphia, took all the money, didn't work at all, then went right back to Boston. That's why Matthew says, fuck you, Al, anytime that Matthew Pearson ever hears Al Horford's name, that's what he says. So I'm just being a good friend and supporting Matthew. Anyways, Celtics sweep the Pacers, Gary. What were your thoughts on this series?
Congratulations to Boston Celtics. I might not pick them today, Vaughn, but I did pick them to win this series. And so they handle business. You got to give Indiana credit. They tried hard for surely, with obviously Tyrese Haliburton missing 2 games. 3 games down to the wire. Just when you don't got your primary guy at the end, your all-star, your all-NBA guy, it's pretty tough to finish out games. And you've seen that. Man, oh man, I was telling the Celtics fan today, my homie Cody, I went to go watch the game at his house, man. That boy, you really, if you don't watch basketball that too much or anything, you're like, why is this Holiday guy in here? You're not only shooting that much. What is he really doing? But then you see at the very end, championship caliber. Other day, strip. Any other player, you go into a body, boom. Next, I was telling him that you go into body on coming down on the drive on the fast break layup he had, and usually you don't get the strip. Usually, that bump you usually get the space. Nowadays, step back. that boy, nope, bump, stay there, left hand, boom, steal, breakaway. Today, I literally said right before I shot, I was like, you know, tell my homie they got to get a rebound. If he misses, Tatum takes his shot, even though Brown was open real quick on the quick entry, but, you know, Tatum took the shot, and boom, who gets the rebound? Big old Holiday, man. Just clutch play after clutch play. Shows why, you know, the Celtics traded for him and why he was actually like one of the main guys that they needed in this series, you know. Like, obviously Porzingis is not here, but this guy right there is just championship caliber through and through. Did that for the Bucks when he was on their run, just doing those small things that count. And you got to give the Celtics credit, man. You know, no team is going to get pretty much blown out nowadays, especially a team like the Pacers who literally have so many guys stepping up. And so you got to give them credit, man. Literally, like, they had you guys on their heels. McCollum, all these guys, they're about to get paid, and they prove a lot with Nesmith and them hard. And we all know that Turner and things of that nature, all these guys, you just keep going on with Siakam. Obviously, that trade obviously helped them out. And you can probably nitpick on them. What they could have done this in the fourth better, a little bit this on the bot, like did a little bit this in the fourth and do a little bit that. So, you know, just some plays that they could have made. That's probably a little bit. They had 2 turnovers at the end that were just playing fast pace, but they didn't have the numbers. So, you know, they had a turnover. So there's some things that they could have cleaned up. But at the end of the day, they got to be proud of themselves for getting to this spot, being the New York Knicks team. No one expected them to go this, especially after they turned up in the beginning of the year. And then in the middle of the year, kind of slumped off when Tyrese Halliburton got injured. And, you know, they make the run to where they go. So you got to give them credit. They're going to be a team to reckon with in the East going forward. But, you know, I just want to give credit where the Boston's do. You know, Bonds think they got a lot of haters. They're just ready for some better competition now. That's it. Not saying nothing against the Pacers, but what you see coming out of the West is going to be some big dogs coming out of whoever you get from Kyrie. And I can't wait to talk about that final series of all the storylines from Kyrie maybe going back. Can't count the Timberwolves just yet, even though it's 3-0. It's pretty much, I still think they're going to win maybe game 4 here. Because them games, you know, we're going to talk about it later, but them games have been really close as well, too. So you got to give Celtics credit. Everyone stepped up. Brown was hitting right down the money threes today, hand in his face, knocked down. Tatum other day was playing, we'll give him behind the back passes, swing wide open to the guy. Derek White making timely shots. You know, they're just playing smart. They hoist a lot of threes, but that's the team they are. So you got to live and die with. They're going to live and die with a lot of threes. Well, that's how it's going to go. They were smacking them this series, and, you know, they're getting some paint penetration and getting some easy buckets. They're switching everything, so they ain't got really too many liabilities on the floor right now, which is good for them too. So, and obviously with Porzingis is back, that's going to be interesting how they go about that, because I don't know, man. You listen to all these podcasts that obviously basketball players have that we always talk about, and so they always talk about you can't just throw a guy, boom, injured, and all of a sudden in the finals, because and you seen Luka say it, and Kyrie told him the other day, that's how you're supposed to feel. At the end of the game, you're going to get more tired. Look at Aaron Edwards. Every round gets tougher and tougher in every aspect. So going from out and just dropping him and playing, it's gonna be interesting to see. You know what I'm saying? He's a talented guy, and I think he could do it, but obviously they haven't needed him just yet. So they're probably telling him to, you know, keep getting healthy. We need you. So it's gonna be interesting how they go about that. But man, oh man, I know we got a lot of comments down here right here from Baby Mako. I seen them going around. I'm just trying to, you know me, if I start reading, I'm gonna lose my train of thought like a dummy. So I gotta make sure I'm locked in still. But you know what I'm saying? Just end of that. Give Celtics the credit today. No Celtics hate today. Just Celtics truth actually always, which is usually you guys handled your business as you guys should have. Everyone thinks you guys were going to be in this spot, and you guys got to get credit for handling business. But like Tatum mentioned, like every other pension, the job's not finished. And, you know, I'm actually kind of rooting for the Celtics. Y'all know I believe in the basketball gods in terms of every year you knock on the door, it's your turn. And I kind of feel like when we get there, Anthony Edwards is there learning. You know, you knock on the door, take a step up. But, you know, you gotta go step by step to get to that, you know, to that mountaintop. So they have knocked down that door second time coming to the finals. Let's see if they have the makeup and all the things lined up to win this championship, because either they're going to have a young team coming up, which they should in the Timberwolves, or they're going to have a team that's young, but they got one guy on that team that already won a championship and know what it takes, and is going to have a little bit something to say. So we ain't even talk about that just yet, but it's going to be interesting to see, man.
It certainly will. And yes, Gary, you can leave the reading to me. I'll get to all these comments. I just wanted to display them as we were each giving our responses. Sorry about that. But you know, the Instagram comments, they were popping, and so I just wanted to show them some love and highlight them. But as far as our YouTube comments go, Smooth, aka Kevin's dad, says the Celtics better win a chip this year. It's their best chance. then says Kyrie would love to beat his old team.
Mm.
I didn't think about that until
Porzingis played on Dallas too. Don't forget that.
Exactly. That's another great
Storylines,
point,
we're bringing them.
Storylines. I mean, maybe Kyrie's going to bring the
Luka
Sage back to
versus-
Boston.
Who's going to be the
The
best player in
Mavericks
the world,
haven't
man?
won yet, guys. Let's let this happen, okay? Let's
I
let
do
it
think the
Okay.
best player in the world
Okay.
championship is on the line. I mean, that's how it's been going every other year. One day Giannis had it, and then Nikola had it. Now, if Luka wins it, crown him best player. Tatum
Yeah,
wins it.
it'll-
I'm not gonna lie, man. I know a lot of people won't like that because you
They're
got a lot
not
of
gonna
help
say
on him,
that.
but I'll give him credit. They ain't gonna say it, but I believe he should be for sure top 2.
Or maybe Jaylen Brown.
Number 1.
I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe
no.
Jaylen Brown.
He's great, but-
Oh, no. All right. Well, I
Best
just
player in the
wanted
world,
to
Sean. Come on now.
I'm
He's
playing.
great,
I'm
He's great.
I'm being you. I'm being the devil's advocate. Excuse me. Anyways, I just wanted to read a couple of these comments from Instagram because we appreciate everyone for tapping in with us at Stats Over Politics on Instagram. You can also watch live on X. We got a good amount of viewers right now from X. And then, as always, you can always tune in on YouTube. At Love and Life _1982 says, hi, guys. Hey, how
That's
you
Grandma.
doing? That's Grandma. Awesome. So shout out to Grandma. We appreciate you for tuning in. Our guy Eric Chu from In-N-Out Burger, who Toddy and I used to work with, he says, I'm here for baby Toddy.
Shout out to Eric, too. He just graduated, too.
Yeah, shout out to Eric. Stingers up, Hornet alumni. We appreciate you for tuning in, Eric. And Cousin James says, baby Mako, my little cousin on the podcast, best guest ever. I could not agree more. Mako is obviously
And being
the star of the
calm,
show
cool,
today,
and collected, bro. That's what we love.
Yeah.
Look at this, man. Excellence. You know
He's
what
ready
time
to
it is
speak into
too.
the mic.
Yeah, he's chilling. He's chilling. And
Said,
Smooth
Sean, pass
says-
the mic.
yeah, I know, right? I apologize. Let him host. One day. He will be there one day. I already know. But Kevin's dad says, Tatum won't ever be him. In my opinion, Brown is way more consistent. Okay, maybe I wasn't playing devil's advocate. Maybe I'm on to something. I guess we'll have to find out when the finals come.
Tatum is
And,
great.
about
One thing
a
I want
week
to say
or so.
about Tatum real quick before we move on. Tatum is great, and I just feel like he's so great and he loves Kobe so much. Not just on that, but I feel like he wants to think the game so much, Vaughn. Do you feel like that? And then like overthinks it when he's like, when you see Ant Edwards, any of them play, they think the game for sure, and LeBron, anyone, but it's also sometimes just an instinct. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, maybe it's just me overanalyzing things stuff, but he's great. I just feel like, I don't know, Vaughn, do you feel like that? Do you feel like sometimes he just kind of overthinks, like he wants to be like make the perfect play, which is great. You know what I'm saying? He's trying so hard, but sometimes I feel like just let your instincts do it for you because you have great instincts too. You know what I'm saying? feel
I
that
just
or
think
no?
Jaylen Brown's the more aggressive of the two.
He's less thinking about it, right? Like he just
Jaylen
like,
Brown
I
is a
don't
little
know.
bit more unconscious.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of see that. I don't think that's bad from Tatum.
Tatum.
I just think that's like him.
Yeah, Tatum, I feel like he obviously has the more talent. I just feel like sometimes he's a little bit more reluctant to be more.
He got so much in his bag. Like, shall you this, do that? It's like,
But I feel like
He's
he's the more talented of the two, obviously. But I just think Jaylen Brown has a little bit more dog, if that makes sense.
no, I think they both got a good man,
That's
dog.
why
You
he
see
makes
Tatum, he be
300
fired up
He
too,
makes
man.
$300 million for a reason. It's not
Mhm.
because he's not he's like a top 15 player in this league. So I mean, the two of them
He's a
together
dog, goddamn. You a Celtics fan, not calling Tatum a dog,
do
goddamn.
well in the league. Yeah, so I mean, Celtics going to the finals. That's all I got to say.
They sure are. As we keep things moving here on episode number 98 of Stats Over Politics, Sean Holko alongside Garry Singh, Jaevon and Mako Toddy joining us today. As now, guys, we get to our final segment for today's Power Hour episode, and that is the Western Conference Finals as the Dallas Mavericks currently lead the Minnesota Timberwolves 3-0, which I was very surprised when Mavericks take game one, okay. They took game two in Minnesota, and that surprised me a little bit. Naz Reid misses the open three to win the game.
When he
I
was
mean,
hot.
if I were in that, yeah, I know he was hot, but if I'm in that situation,
No, you take
I'm
that.
calling upon my best player, even if they're going to try to double team him. I'm calling upon my best player. Anyways, I'll save that for a little bit. Garry, I'm gonna toss this to you first. As the Mavericks lead the Timberwolves 3-0, is the series over? Because you were just saying like maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, you were like, hey, The Timberwolves, they could come back. They're down 3-0, but they showed the stat when the Mavericks went up 3-0 that teams in NBA history to go up 3-0 in a series are 154-0. I think that's what the stat was. If not, it's very close to it. The point is not the 154, it's the 0. No one has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in the NBA playoffs. However, we do remember way back when to last year when Jaevon's Celtics went down 3-0 to the Heat, came all the way back just to lose. But hey, the Celtics are going to the finals this year. So, Gary, just what do you think about this series? Is it over?
Man, it's over because, like you said, that stat is really hard to go against. Obviously, being down 3-0, last year even the Celtics pushing that to like Game 7 was pretty crazy in itself, to be honest with you. So it's pretty much over, from that standpoint, which is sad because, man, all these games, 108, 105, 109, 108, and 107, 116. But every game has been down to the wire, clutch time, which has been great to watch. And like I mentioned earlier, man, this Timberwolves team has been great. And what I can see from a fan perspective, to be honest with you, is just that they're just obviously, like everyone's mentioned it already, but Kyrie and Luka in the fourth quarter clutch time, just a little bit more better than Ant and Karl-Anthony Towns. Simple as that, And like I mentioned earlier, I feel like there's levels to this. Luka's knocked on the door of the Western Conference Finals before. We already know what Kyrie has done in this league, winning a championship, knocked on that door plenty of times himself with the different teams. And so they just know what to do at the very end, what it takes to win, to get over that hump. And not saying Edwards and them aren't going to get to that level one day, because they knocked out the champs was a big, big thing. No one thought they could knock out the champs in terms of really knocking them out. Like maybe thought they were going to have a fighting chance, but them, proving that, go over that hump, they're in a different battle now, you know what I'm saying? So, you got to buckle up again. And, Edwards, I love him, but he had that one turnover last game on that, spin back on his pivot foot that before he usually hits that fadeaway, but he kicked it out and it was a little off the Nas read. And, you're going to have to go through those moments, those learning growth moments, the turnover here and there, the pass here and there. Like Mike Conley mentioned too, him being the vet that, those like 6 minutes to go got to be more tight. And so you could tell they got two of the best closers on the Mavericks, like everyone knows. And so it's been a game, man. The adjustments are going to be crucial to see, they keep playing Gobert because obviously they've been attacking. And like, I'm really wondering why. And I know Charles and Shaq mentioned this too, which I was thinking too. Like, why haven't they been making Luka and Kyrie work more on the defensive end than any other team you feel like would? And they haven't been doing that, which is good because they haven't been my estimations probably, I'm assuming, is because they have been so good running their system. They don't want to get bogged down by trying to find and dictate matchups because offensively they've been just playing off straight, just moving the ball. That's why they got a lot of deep guys. Like last season, they had a lot of deep guys who are beating you, you know what I'm saying, because they're deep. And so then we have a lot of guys contribute. And so now when you're trying to do that and the guys aren't hitting like last series, man, like guys that were hitting last series, like we can call them out if we want, but they know they're not playing as good as they should be. And Karl-Anthony Towns, Mike Conley played solid, but still they're going to need a little bit more from these guys like Anderson. He played good last game. Reed played good. These guys been playing good. Alexander's been playing so-so, but like they're going to just need a little bit more for Ant to get him over that hump. And he tried to make some plays yesterday to change the momentum and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, when it's a close game, it comes down to matchup hunting, and you see that if Gobert's on the floor, they're going to put him. I've seen the game winner by Luka, step, cross, back to the step back, and boom, game over. They're going to keep doing that to you if you put him in that game. And it's tough for him because, if he comes on the pick and roll, we already know he's in the middle. If Luka drives and he steps up, it's a lob. If he doesn't drive, it's a floater. It's an easy fadeaway for Luka. 6'7", boom, right over the top. No one's stopping that. So, then put him in a bad situation, and coach want to make adjustment, but then I know everyone wants. My homie was so shitting on Rudy Gobert today, and I know everyone loves to do it. And obviously, I don't know. And when the defensive player of the year, and I wasn't on the episode, and he deserved it in my opinion. But obviously, a lot of people think that if you can't guard the ball, that you shouldn't be getting that trophy. But obviously, by the views, they are basically saying, "All right, Shaun."
I'm sorry. I
see.
I wanted to highlight the play in game 3 or game 2 or
basically,
game 3.
but that's not his
he
game.
Got cooked.
You can't. He's not guarding no one on the perimeter. His presence is rim protection. which a lot of teams need. And, you know, you don't get a bag, and they should be valuing players, obviously, like Holiday, we've seen earlier. Obviously, who else is on this team that's very, I'm forgetting his name right now, who's a long defender right now on the Timberwolves team real quick, Jaden McDaniels. And also there's a couple other players that were mentioned, too. I was mentioning earlier with my friend, that just Caruso, you know, big body wing defenders who stay in front, things that nature really guard the ball very well. And so he's not that type of player, but situation where he's getting taken advantage of. So I just feel like it's a little adjustments here and there. They're right there over the precipice to getting over the hump. It's just when you let them go to clutch time, they got 2-1 dogs on that side, so it's really tough. And, man, you got to give credit, man. PJ Washington, sniper right now from the corner. And a sniper from anywhere, really. They got guys just playing perfect. Everyone knows their roles. And Timberwolves got a lot of guys, too, that know their roles, but they're not just playing. Last series, they had played perfect enough to beat Denver, and they're just not playing perfect enough now. And that's what it comes down to. And probably no one thought coming in you had to play this perfect against this Dallas team, but they didn't know how good this Dallas team has been cooking. Literally been cooking, and they're doing the same thing too, funneling into the paint. People wondering why is Kyrie and Luka not getting cooked? Because they're funneling to the paint, and they got a big man who can move his feet a little bit better than their other big man is. And you know, when they play small, they don't even got to worry about that. And everyone's playing into crowds and things of that nature. And at the end of the day, really, what the really big factor comes down to, sorry for being long-winded, guys, is that Timberwolves aren't making threes. And when they ain't making those threes, now they're packing the paint. Now, Ant seeing 2-3 bodies going down the lane. He's cooking out, making the right play, but that's not hitting. So, you know, they hit a couple more threes, open up the paint, they can get Mike Conley going downhill. They can get Edwards going downhill. You know what I'm saying? They need to get more downhill play, but Gafford, everyone just sitting at the rim. So, you know, and that's just small little things here and there just working against them. It's been so tight that those small little things here and there is what's helping them lose the series, man. All these sweeps, man, are close sweeps, man. Earlier, I think the broadcaster said this is the closest sweep by the Pacers or whatever. Last year, Denver and Lakers, I know, they were a close sweep to it. Every game about 2-3 points, man. The margin of victory in the playoffs is crazy.
It really is because, I mean, we just talked about the sweep between the Celtics and the Pacers, but every single one of those games was close, except for Game 2. Game 2 got a little away from them, which is ironic just given what happened with the Celtics in Game 2 on their home floor in the first two series. But as we know, the Celtics have now won 7 straight postseason games. So good on them. And before we get Jaevon's thoughts on this Western Conference Finals series, who may ultimately, we kind of know, but who may play the Celtics in the NBA Finals. Before we get there, I just wanted to highlight a couple of comments from YouTube from Kevin. Yeah, from Kevin Dent Sr. He says, Ant seems to have hit the wall. He's gassed out guarding Kyrie this series. The Timberwolves are 2-6 in the last 8 playoff games. And Kevin Dent Sr. even says Rudy has been playing well defensively compared to the liability he was the last few years. And so that's a good point. And as Garry said, playing on the perimeter isn't really Rudy's game. But in my opinion, at least, you are a 4-time defensive player of the year. I know that Luka is going to be one of the all-time greats too, but it's just hard for me to see a defensive player of the year just get exposed like that so easily. And again, it's playing on the perimeter, but I mean, maybe it's just a testament to Luka Doncic's greatness. But Jaevon, what have you thought about this series? Yeah, that is a good point. Just, I mean, even as 6'8", we saw,
no one's doing nothing with him. Dort couldn't do nothing with him. He's a big body. He was catching all the elbows.
Even as we saw in this Eastern Conference Finals series, especially in tonight's Game 4, but especially throughout, Pascal Siakam was getting whatever he wanted against whoever the Celtics put on him. And so if Pascal Siakam is getting whatever he wants, Luka Doncic is likely going to get whatever he wants too, even if one of the greatest defenders in NBA history is on him. That's a good point, Garry. But Jaevon, close us out here. What are your thoughts on this series? And do you think that the Mavericks are going to be the ultimate opponent for the Celtics? We'll have plenty of time for a finals preview next week, just because there's going to be a bit of a gap in NBA games if the Timberwolves do lose tomorrow night.
Guys.
But
Boston. No basketball now.
Jaevon, what have you thought about these Western Conference Finals?
KD Sr. kind of hit the nail on the head there. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's Rudy. He's the defensive player of the year, and he's supposed to be that guy." Well, Rudy is not an on-ball defender. I'm pretty sure you could put it in front of. I'd say most of the top guys in the league could probably get a bucket on Rudy at will if they would like to. Luka just have
Who's the best big man all-ball defender? Bam. It's probably best.
Yeah, I mean, or AD. You could argue AD
from the All NBA team. We looked at Bam and AD. Yep.
Bam and AD would probably be
pretty rare. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty rare.
Hold on, Jaevon. I'm sorry, Garry. Who's better, Anthony Davis or Bam Adebayo?
Oh my God, I was about to say that.
Anthony Davis is, but Bam has earned a lot of respect from you guys. He went to the finals twice now, guys.
He's never let it go.
And he's been All NBA. He's a great player now. You guys really disrespected. You guys disrespected the cat too. He's having a bad series for say his name right now, but he did his number versus the Denver Nuggets. We can take back takes now. We can go back.
I'm not going to say. You're right, exactly, Jaevon. And I'm not going to say Cat's name until he comes to the podium after a hard loss. Anyways, Jaevon, Mavericks lead the Timberwolves 3-0, and you were saying how KD Sr. he really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, and then kind of just going back to when he was saying Ant was gassed. I saw something Kevin Garnett was saying. He was talking about his stint in Minnesota and him going to the Western Conference Finals. That was the last time they went to the Western Conference Finals when KG was there, and he was doing all that. And he was talking about how Ant is kind of like his body isn't ready to be like they've never really played basketball this long before because they're deep. This is May, almost entering June. It's an 82-game season. And KG was saying when he got to the Western Conference Finals playing against Kobe and Shaq, he wasn't really used to all that. And it took like Kobe and Shaq like 5, 6, 7 years to get to Western Conference Finals, to get to the finals. And he was saying like, even like Jordan and like LeBron and all those guys, like it took them like the first like at least 7 years before they even, not even just going to the finals, but winning a championship. Like it takes so much time that goes into it. And I'm looking at like Luka Doncic is going into like his 6th year. So he's been,
about time.
He's been freaking all NBA like his whole career after his rookie year. So I mean, this is like his 6th year. So it takes time for, to cook up an NBA like championship caliber team. Like this is not a team that you could just build up in the microwave overnight. This is something that you got to build into the microwave. Going back to my microwave or my oven theory, you got to put it in the oven. And you got to let it bake a little bit. So I think Ant's time will be in the near future. I just don't think that it is now. But he definitely popped for sure because obviously taking out the defending champs is nothing to slouch over. I just think that he's kind of just adjusting to what it's going to be like. He's not getting any help from Karl-Anthony Towns at all. This is a guy who played fairly well, I thought, in the Denver series, but
for sure
in this series currently right now, he's playing like not good at all, and he's not really getting help. You guys already mentioned, Jaden McDaniels had a crazy game 1 where he was making pretty much every three. I'm pretty sure Dallas was pretty happy with that. Wanting them to shoot threes because Minnesota's not really the best 3-point shooting team. They have, I feel like they pride themselves a lot on defense and being able to defend the wings. But Kyrie and Luka are just been cooking this whole entire series. And Kyrie, who really didn't play all that well in the OKC series, has stepped up tremendously. I think. Thank
God you said it, Vaughn. Let's give Kyrie some love for all the haters for the last few years.
I think, I know you love him. That's a whole nother podcast, just to go in on all the people that were talking shit about Kyrie and all the stuff.
Look at him now, bro. Shining, talking about leadership, everything positive. Ain't nothing to say but basketball. Because carrying his team, everyone's saying greatness about him, bro. Straight up, how it should be.
He's always been that guy. I just think just the off the court stuff that was just going on and people
not even that,
scrutinizing him. For
even he mentioned he's growing as a leader now
on the basketball court. So I mean, he's showing why he's one of the. I think he's a top 5 or top 75 player ever. And he was a top 75 player. But, some stuff didn't go the way that, certain people didn't want it to go. And so he wasn't on that list. But, Kyrie is just as awesome as he could be. I mean, Luka's so glad to have a guy like Kyrie on his team.
Got some help finally.
In past years, just look at the teams that Luka has had. He hasn't really had anybody else to rely on it.
And he's trusting now too. You see how he's trusting now too?
He's got a guy that can do. You could not argue. Kyrie has a deeper bag than Luka. I just think that he has.
What type of bag though?
A lot of faith and trust in a guy who can pretty much go and hit He's hit a game-winning shot in the finals. So, I mean, just to have a guy at that caliber, at that level, especially at the age that he's in the later part of his career, to get what he's been getting, I mean, Mark Cuban has to be, doing backflips for re-signing Kyrie and making the trade for him at the trade deadline.
They've been believing in him, though.
The whole maybe it's speed movement from LeBron. I mean, it was just, a lot of people were a bit skeptical at the trade deadline a couple of years ago when they made that trade for Kyrie. And like I said, when it first happened, it took a while for them to gel. It didn't really work out because, injuries came apart. I mean, they were just trying to figure each other out. People were just they're supposed to go to the playoffs, finals, but injuries happened and they missed the playoffs that year, and then they come back full off season, a full season together, get themselves acclimated together.
You got the right pieces too. That was
now,
key.
They're a game away from the NBA finals. So I mean, it does help that Luka Doncic is on this team. I mean, he's averaging, I think, about 30.
A little hobble too.
A little hobble. I think he's averaging about like 33, 34 points a game, almost triple-double of this series, too. So, I mean, him and Kyrie had like 66 points last night, which is insane. So, I mean, and has to play better. Derek Lively is going to miss game 4, so that could be something to kind of look out for.
WWE moves.
He's been playing really great, too.
Cat.
Top threat.
Wes made the call for that to happen. So, we're going to have to wait and see what game 4 things. I think Minnesota probably wins game 4. I think they do win game 4. Go back to Minnesota, spark a little bit in, make it a little bit interesting. Go 7 games for me, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see when it comes to your pick tomorrow too. If you're really gonna go Minnesota, because right now, Toddy and I, we are in a heated battle. Even after tonight, we are tied at the top of the stats over politics.
I have like a 4 or 5 game lead.
After the first round, I've been going for nothing but long series, y'all. Every game I'm going for long series. Come on, please, Pacers.
Well, Gary, you went with long series, but you also went with your LeBronologist heart, and that kind of bit you and Kevin.
That was close, man.
On. Yeah, I guess it was close, kind of like the Pacers.
If we were doing, we had the chances last year. We did this, but if we would have been picking series, I've been knocking that out the park. I got the series. Game to game is tough. I would have predicted this though, Pacers. I would have said 4-1.
The trenches.
Yeah, I would have. I think I actually.
I got Dallas in 6. I'm not gonna lie. That's still a lot.
Dallas in 6 of this series. Okay, so Gary has.
That's what I said before.
The next 2 games.
I'm
yeah. Wow, that's actually impressive because I picked Minnesota in 6. Kevin picked Minnesota. Jaevon, you picked Minnesota. So Gary, you're the only one on the Dallas train.
I was only seeing because their system, they're not making anyone pay. Like they're not making Kyrie and Luka for being big. They're not making them play on the defense end too much. Like they're playing great defense too. Like because they're funneling to the paint, Lane Gafford them clean up, and Washington are big bodies, and they got a lot of big bodies really covering up the lane, really helping them. But they're not making them pay as much as they probably should. So them and on the other end, Luka and Kyrie are making you pay every time. Pick and roll, baby. Whoever's in that 5 spot, come on down, boy. You're gonna dance with me, and we're gonna have a kick out all day, and kick out threes, all open threes. All y'all do, you gotta hit them. That's all they're doing pretty much every time. Just play, also, and especially Luka gets to the paint. Yesterday, oh man, that baseline tough. They could have called and one on that play for Kyrie. The Kyrie dagger here on the right wing on the baseline, pull up, took his feet out under him. Boom, that was and one too. It's just tough shot after tough shot, and like Kevin Dent Sr. mentioned, he's getting a little gassed for sure. I feel like the first game was probably gassed, but they just played a game 7. The last 2 games, I don't feel like that he's been too much gassed. I feel like it's just him, just like he ain't really getting much help, and they're trying to play. Even you watch the post game, they're just saying like basically we're getting bogged down because we want to take over the mismatches, but at the same time they've been playing one way all year. They're playing, they've been playing attack the paint, kick out, rotation, boom, get good shots. They haven't been playing too much pick and roll too much. So I don't know. It's tough right now.
It certainly has been an interesting series. The one thing I would say is a counterpoint to Anthony Edwards getting burned out on the defensive end in this series is he was supposedly putting Jamal Murray in handcuffs in the last series. And he was doing that while still doing it on the offensive end. Yeah, I guess it is way
Kyrie,
different.
Luka, big guards.
That's very fair. Kyrie not as much.
Kyrie
as
big
Luka,
guard, low key big guard. Compared to Jamal, I think like 1-2 inch for sure.
Okay. That could be the case. But at the end of the day, Edwards, his legs may be a little gassed towards the end of the game. I experienced that yesterday where I played organized basketball for the first time in 2 months. And after the first game, my legs were absolutely gone. And it took me playing a couple more games to just be able to get my legs back under me. And so coming from the amateur of the amateur, I mean, I know that Anthony Edwards is in shape. He's in premium shape, but I get it. I mean, it happens to the worst of us, and it happens to the best of us. And
it's the most games he ever played in his whole life. You feel me? That's really what it is. Like Vaughn mentioned earlier, it's really I was gonna mention when Vaughn was mentioning only one player really, and maybe someone correct me, but really that I can mention that has ever been to the mountaintop that early, that quick, and win it. Magic, and Kareem was by his side the whole way there, and he got injured at the end.
That was Rick here.
But the whole way there, Kareem was averaging still 30 and whatever, 10, double.
I still don't think he was 22.
Was still the main guy. So, yeah, he was still 22. But, yeah, exactly, like technically. But, because he played 3-4 years in college.
And he played center. He played center to clinch
exactly.
That
so, that's
NBA
really the only
championship.
young guy, really, out the gate who's going that quick. Like, I think we all would have been shocked if – and then when it rode it all the way to the hill and boom on the chip, man, that would have been – that would have been a big head start on that quote-unquote GOAT debate. If people really line him up to Michael Jordan and things of that nature. One of my friends, Gil, actually, he was just here mentioning real quick. He even said he was like, well, because he's an Edwards fan now, which who isn't, man? You gotta love that guy, especially what things his personal life he went through, losing his mom and his grandmother as well. And so how can you not root for the guy? And like he's mentioned, always talks about positivity no matter what. So he's just a lovable guy. You see his shoes; they're dropping lows now for him because everyone's eating him up. So he's just getting all the love. I know him. He's in all the commercials and things of that nature, and so. I was just saying that, man, oh man, no one. It's really tough the first year, man. It's just tough to go over that first hump the first year. So if he would have done that, that would have been epic. So you got to live and you learn, man.
Yeah, and the last thing that I'll say here, and if you guys have any
real quick, Shaun, my bad. That's what I meant to say. What Gil said, my bad. I meant to say that he said that it's good. It's so crazy how the perspectives are nowadays. It's really you think it's LeBron glasses, but it's really Jordan glasses. He says, "Good job he didn't go to the finals this year. If they would have lost, he would have been his GOAT debate's over." Oh man, oh really? Just because he's 0-1 in the finals? Shit. If you ain't 6-0, you ain't shit, I guess.
I guess so. Toddy, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Hope this series goes 7. So we can chill. You
don't want that.
So we can kick our feet back, watch the game.
That game 1, it's gonna be.
Sure, we might have JB and JB sitting courtside, game 7. See who's playing.
I don't know. They might come in if that were to happen, even if it went like 5 or 6.
So the Derek Lively,
Luka needs some rest too. They need to
the Derek Lively missing game 4. It's not nothing. It's something.
Yeah.
I think it does play a role in.
Then they're gonna have what's his name step up, right? Who's their backup
Gafford.
center? Not Gafford. Who was that? I mean, there's some else going to play now too.
I saw that Maxi Kleba might be available. To
Kleba, that's what Maxi Kleba. He's actually been playing. He played that position last year.
Hasn't he been hurt though? I've seen him in strip club.
He's been hurt the whole playoffs, but I think he might be. They said he's going to be upgraded to questionable for game 4. So
okay.
Yeah, they're going to be here because he's a stretch guy. That'll be a different dynamic right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Yep. And next week, guys, we'll be back with another episode next Monday, episode number 99. Hopefully, all 4 of us are there together for that. And Toddy, what did you say real quick?
I said the Aaron Donald episode.
The Aaron Donald episode. Okay. Greatest defensive player of all time. Okay, yeah.
The
Aaron Donald episode.
Sean didn't want to say that.
I thought.
Fan.
Nah, Toddy showed the respect for the Niner delegation. I was thinking a little more baseball. I was thinking Aaron Judge from Linden, California, but Aaron Donald. The Aaron Donald episode next week, ladies and gentlemen. So we will catch you all then, but you know the deal. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at StatsOverPolitics and on X at StatsOrPolitics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. If you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode number 98 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Garry Singh, and Kevin Dent, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next Monday on another episode of Stats Over Politics.
Peace.
Later, everyone.